Congratulations on the purchase of your new Carousel USA surface-mounted turntable, and welcome to this video, a step-by-step guide to help you correctly assemble your turntable. Before we get started, you'll need 2 people to install the turntable, and a few essential items. These are hammer drill, shop vacuum, grease gun, metric spanner wrenches, and a 3/8 inch drive torque wrench. You'll also need a 3/8 inch drill bit, a 1/4 inch drill bit, a 5/16 nut driver bit, and a metric T-handle. Additionally, you'll need an impact driver with metric sockets as well as impact bit sockets and a 9/16 deep socket. You'll find this list along with all the numbered turntable parts in the instruction manual. As you unpack all the turntable parts, it's important to inspect them carefully and make sure they've arrived safely and undamaged. Once you've done this, we're ready to get started. But before we do, it's worth pointing out that for your convenience, each of the following instructional steps match exactly the steps you'll find in the instruction manual. The first step is to choose an installation site that is level and can handle the load. This should be a smooth, flat area with a deviation no more than 1/8 of an inch in height with a minimum diameter of 150 inches. Smooth out any uneven cracks and surfaces where the center bearing and tracks will be placed. You may need to use dry pack mortar, epoxy, or resin. This is important as uneven surfaces will create installation difficulties, unwanted noise, and premature wear. Once you've done this, you're now ready to place the center bearing in the middle of where you want the turntable to be placed. Now it's time to start laying out the track and motor parts. At this time, it's important to locate the motor track and place it on the opposite side from where you plan to shoot your photography, so that it is hidden while you film. Lay out all the regular tracks along with the track locators, motor locators, and track connectors, just like this. Once they're all in place, fasten the parts with M6 screws and lock washers. Next, it's time to anchor the tracks and center the bearing to the floor. Using the 1/4 inch masonry bit with the hammer drill, bore holes into the floor to match the corresponding holes in the tracks. There are 2 holes per track and 5 on the center bearing. But don't drill holes for the motor connectors yet. Each hole should be 1/2 an inch deeper than the screw embedment. Use the shop vac to remove dust and floor particles as you go. Insert the 5/16 anchors into the holes, fastening down the tracks and center bearing. As you do, drive the screw slowly, allowing the threads to tap into the concrete. Ensure that they're screwed all the way down. If the screw heads protrude, they'll collide with the rotating turntable and damage the equipment. Now you're ready to install the pie pieces. Start with a male pie piece. Lay the pointed end over the center bearing and support wheels along the curved track. Align the center bearing with the pie by rotating the circular disc, and then, using an M10 screw and lock washer, loosely fasten them together. But do not tighten any of the center connection screws until all the pie pieces are in place. Next, we need to place a female pie piece. This should be placed on the left side of the male piece you just installed, as we'll continue adding pieces in a counterclockwise fashion. To add the piece, align the male pie's 3 studs with the corresponding female holes, and then, once again, lay the pointed end over the center bearing and the support wheels over the curved track. Again, align the center bearing hole with the pie by rotating the circular disc, and then loosely fasten them together with the M10 screw and washer. Don't attempt to install the M10 screws before aligning the 3 pie studs. and do not tighten any of the center screws until all the pies are in place. Repeat this step another 13 times until all but one of the pie pieces has been placed. Finally, to lay the last female pie piece from above, you must align the 6 holes on the female pie with the corresponding male studs. Once aligned, push the female pie down until it's level with the others. Then push the pie inwards until the outer radius fits perfectly. Lastly, align the center bearing plate hole with the pie, fastening it with an M10 screw and washer. Now it's time to securely fasten all the parts together. It's time to connect the pie pieces together with the connecting M10 screws. Start by aligning the pie connection holes and then using M10 screws and hex nuts loosely fasten all the pies. Once they're all in, you can start tightening them, but this needs to be done in a crisscrossing fashion, jumping from side to side like this. If you need help, there's an additional diagram in the manual. Now it's time to add the center panel. To do this, simply place the panel in the center turntable opening. No hardware is needed for this. Next up, the turntable needs greasing. It's important to apply grease to the track to reduce wheel wear, noise, and vibration. To do this, use a grease gun and apply a generous bead of grease along the outer perimeter of the tracks where the support wheels roll along as the turntable rotates. Make sure you use a lithium type 2 grease, but don't spin the turntable while doing so, as this may cause injury. And be sure not to ride on the turntable, as this can cause serious injury. Now we're ready to install the motor and drive assembly. Start by loosening the M12 hex nuts on the drive assembly and motor assembly units, highlighted here with rings. Move both base plates forward until the M12 studs are positioned at the end of the slots like this. Tighten the loosened M12 hex nuts on each drive and motor assembly, locking in the plate positions. Now place the drive and motor assembly on the mounting surface using the motor locators you placed earlier. Align the holes on the motor locators and then hold down the motor and drive assemblies as you bore holes into the floor using a hammer drill with a 1/4 inch masonry bit. The holes should be 1/2 inch deeper than the screw embedment. As before, use a shop vac to suck up dust and floor particles while drilling. Now you're ready to insert the 5/16 inch anchors into the holes. As before, drive the screws slowly, allowing the threads to tap into the concrete. Once the drive assembly location is set, move on to drilling and installing the remaining anchors on the motor and drive unit. Now, loosen the M12 hex nuts on the drive assembly and motor assembly and slide them along the fixed plates all the way inwards until the pinion gear and turntable teeth mesh snugly. Next, move the same assemblies back outwards 1/8 of an inch to give the pinion and turntable adequate clearance. Once in position, tighten the M12 hex nuts on the drive and motor assembly, locking in the adjustment. Tension and level the drive chain by rotating the hardware for height and in and out movement and tension, just like this. You want to adjust the height of the chain so that the 2 sprockets are parallel, and simultaneously adjust the tension of the chain until taut and difficult to squeeze by hand. You can install the motor cover after testing the drive unit and turntable operation. Now it's time to lay out the ramp pieces around the turntable. The center line of the motor cover should align perfectly with the seam of 2 ramps on the opposite side of the turntable, exactly 180 degrees across like this. As the ramp parts are placed, there should be a 1 3/4 inch gap between the motor cover and the ramps either side, like so. Once this is done, manipulate the ramps to achieve a 3/16 inch gap between the turntable and the inside edge of the ramps. Next, use the concrete stud anchors to secure the ramp pieces that will only see regular use. Please note that it's not required to anchor all the ramps. To anchor them, drill a 3/8 inch hole into the floor on the desired ramp sections. Again, use a shop vac to remove dust and floor particles while drilling. Install hole covers onto ramps, lining up the inclined planes like this. The last thing left to do is to mount the control box and power it. Before you do this, make sure the cable running to the motor is the right length. To mount the control box, simply line up the mounting holes with the desired location, pre-drill screw holes, and screw it in. Now it's ready to power. Pass the cable from the motor into the control box through the cord grip. Connect the 4 wires matching colors, black with black, white with white, etc. Adjust the cable to the ideal length and then tighten with the cord grip. Use a provided power cord to power the control box. The construction is now complete. For more information on how to maintain your turntable, please consult the instruction manual for more specifics. If you need more assistance or would like to provide feedback on our products, please contact one of our customer service representatives at 866-796-5975 or visit us online at www.carousel-usa.com.